Welcome back to the channel EagleCoins. Before you spend another quarter, stop right there. Seriously, check your pocket, check your car cup holder, check that dusty jar in your kitchen right now. Because some of those ordinary-looking state quarters people toss away every single day are actually hidden treasure coins worth serious money. I'm talking about quiet wealth, silent fortune, the kind of life-changing opportunity collectors are secretly hunting for while everyone else is blindly spending them. These dirty old coins might look normal, but some tiny detail makes them explode in value, and collectors are fighting over them at auctions while nobody else even realizes what they're holding. Do not spend these coins. These old coins are a treasure, and today we're exposing the top 3 most valuable ultra-rare state quarter-dollar coins that could turn pocket change into big money coins overnight. And listen carefully. Each coin on this list gets rarer, more shocking, and more valuable than the last. The final coin, almost nobody knows about it, but when it shows up, it creates real auction shock. So stay with me, watch till the end, and remember one thing. Rare US. Coins alert, you might already be holding a fortune. First coin number 1. Now let's talk about the first coin, and this one is already making collectors nervous. Picture this. You're paying for coffee. The cashier hands you some change, and mixed in those coins is a normal-looking quarter. Slightly worn, maybe a little dusty, nothing flashy. But that simple coin could quietly be a $140,000 silent fortune sitting in your hand. This is the 2017 Ellis Island State Quarter with the D mint mark. And collectors know something about this coin that most people completely miss. And if you ever see this coin, do not spend this coin. The year 2017 was a powerful moment in American coin history. The United States Mint was deep into producing the famous America the Beautiful Quarters series, celebrating iconic places across the country. One of the most emotional and historic locations chosen was Ellis Island, the gateway where millions of immigrants first stepped into America chasing a dream. That history is actually stamped right into the coin itself. On the front of the coin, you see the familiar portrait of George Washington, the classic design Americans have carried in their pockets for generations. His calm but powerful profile faces left, surrounded by the words that define American currency. It feels traditional, strong, and instantly recognizable. But flip the coin over, and that's where this hidden treasure begins to whisper its story. The reverse design captures the historic Ellis Island, showing the immigrant hospital building with a hopeful figure representing the millions who arrived searching for opportunity. It's a design packed with emotion. Quiet, historic, almost haunting. And that emotional connection is one of the reasons collectors are obsessed with this piece. But here's where things get interesting, and this detail changes everything. This particular coin was struck at the United States Mint facility in Denver Mint, which means it carries the tiny D mint mark near Washington's portrait. Most people never even notice that tiny letter. They just spend the coin and move on. Collectors, they hunt for it. Because under certain minting conditions, in 2017, Ampere's small group of these Ellis Island quarters came out with something unusual, a striking quality and preservation that gives the coin a bright silver shine with a soft antique tone, even after years in circulation. Not polished, not cleaned, just naturally aged metal showing its original character. And that originality is everything. The coin itself has that classic quarter presence. When you hold it, it feels solid, about 5.67 grams, roughly 24.3 millimeters across, with a thickness of about 1.75 millimeters. It's not a big coin, but it has that unmistakable American coin weight that collectors instantly recognize when it lands in their palm. But the magic isn't in the links, in the survival. Most quarters live hard lives. They bounce through vending machines, gas stations, parking meters, and laundry rooms. They get scratched, cleaned, polished, and abused. Over time, their surfaces lose the natural toning collectors desperately want. That's why surviving examples in very fine condition with original surfaces are extremely rare. And listen carefully to this warning, because this mistake destroys value every single day. Never clean the coin. People see an old coin and immediately try to shine it up. They scrub it, polish it, dip it in chemicals, and in seconds they erase decades of natural surface history. Collectors can spot a cleaned coin instantly, and the value collapses. Original toning, that soft mix of silver glow and antique shading, is what proves the coin lived a real life. That untouched surface is what serious collectors crave. When one of these high-quality 2017 Ellis Island D mint quarters appears in collector circles, the reaction is quiet but intense. The auctions don't always look dramatic. Sometimes it's just a few experienced collectors watching carefully, waiting, studying the surface, the edges, the strike. Then suddenly the bidding starts climbing, because they know something most people don't. The supply is shrinking. Collectors who get one of these coins rarely sell them. They lock them away in collections, safety boxes, or graded slabs for the long term. Every year fewer are available, while demand quietly rises among rare coin hunters. And that's how a normal-looking quarter turns into something shocking. Today, in the right preserved condition, this single coin has reached an incredible market value of around $140,000. That's not pocket change, that's hidden wealth, that's silent fortune. And remember this, do not spend this coin if you ever find one. If you think you have it, protect it. Leave the surface untouched. Store it safely. And most importantly, get it professionally graded so collectors know it's authentic and preserved correctly. Because one small detail, one tiny mint mark, one untouched surface can turn an ordinary quarter into serious money. But here's the part that should make you nervous. This coin we just talked about is actually the least shocking coin on today's list. The next quarter looks even more ordinary, but collectors say a microscopic detail in its design triggered one of the most aggressive bidding wars modern coin auctions have seen. And people are still spending it every single day without realizing what they're holding. Stay with me, because the next coin might be the one hiding in your change right now. Next coin number 2. Now imagine this. You're digging through loose change, maybe looking for a parking meter coin or a snack machine quarter, and sitting right there between a few scratched coins is a quarter dated 1999, nothing flashy. A little worn, maybe slightly dull from years of circulation. Most people wouldn't even look twice. But collectors know that one specific version of this coin can quietly carry a silent fortune, and people are accidentally spending it every single day. This is the 1999 Connecticut State Quarter with the D mint mark, and if you ever see one that matches the right details, do not spend this coin. Because hidden inside this ordinary piece of change is one of the earliest and most fascinating treasures from the famous 50 State Quarters program created by the United States Mint. When the program launched, 1,999 Americans suddenly became curious about coins again. People started checking their pockets, saving quarters, building collections. It was a cultural moment. But what nobody realized at the time was that some of those first-year coins were quietly becoming rare. And Connecticut's design was one of the most iconic. Flip the coin over, and you'll see the legendary Charter Oak, the historic tree that became a powerful symbol of American independence. Back in the 1600 ECS, colonists hid their royal charter inside that oak tree to protect their self-governing rights from British control. That story turned the tree into a symbol of freedom, and in 1999, it was chosen to represent Connecticut's place in American history. Right there under the tree, you'll see the date 1788, marking the year Connecticut officially joined the United States as the fifth state. It's a beautiful design. Calm, historic, patriotic. But the treasure isn't just the story. It's the tiny details most people miss. On the front of the coin, you'll recognize the powerful portrait of George Washington, the same familiar face that has appeared on the quarter for generations. Around him are the words Americans see every day without thinking. But collectors don't just glance at it, they study every corner of that surface. And the first thing they look for is the mint mark. On this rare version, just beside Washington's portrait, sits the small D, meaning the coin was struck at the Denver Mint. Now, millions of Connecticut quarters were minted that year. But here's where things get interesting. 1999 was the very beginning of the state quarter program, and the mints were under enormous pressure. Demand from banks, collectors, and the public exploded almost overnight. Machines ran longer, dies wore down faster, and production stress created subtle variations in strike quality and preservation. Most coins left the mint and immediately entered heavy circulation. They went through vending machines, grocery stores, toll booths, and cash registers across America. Which means most of them didn't survive nicely. They became scratched, polished, cleaned, or damaged over time. That's why surviving examples in very fine condition with original surfaces have become incredibly desirable to collectors. When you hold one of these quarters, it feels like every other American quarter at first. It weighs about 5.67 grams, measures roughly 24.3 millimeters across, and has a thickness of about 1.75 millimeters. That familiar reeded edge runs around the outside like a ring of tiny ridges. But if the coin survived circulation with its natural look intact, something special happens. Collectors start paying attention. Because original coins develop a subtle surface character over time. The metal, a copper core wrapped in nickel layers, begins to show soft shades of silver-gray toning. Light catches the raised areas differently than the fields. The tree design on the reverse develops a gentle antique depth that tells collectors the coin hasn't been altered. And this is where many people accidentally destroy their treasure. They clean the coin. Maybe they think they're helping it look better. Maybe they polish it with a cloth or dip it in a cleaning solution. But the moment that natural toning disappears, the collector value drops dramatically. A cleaned coin loses its history, and collectors want the history. They want the untouched surfaces, the honest wear, the authentic look that proves the coin survived the real world without being altered. When a properly preserved 1999 Connecticut D-Mint quarter appears in collector markets, the reaction is often quiet but intense. Experienced buyers examine every detail: the sharpness of the Charter Oak branches, the smoothness of the fields, the original color of the metal. Then something interesting happens. The bidding begins slowly. One collector places a careful bid. Another responds. And suddenly the room realizes they're looking at a coin that almost never appears in this condition anymore, because most examples are gone, spent, damaged, or cleaned out of existence. And that's how an ordinary quarter begins transforming into something extraordinary. Collectors know the supply is shrinking while demand continues to grow. Early state quarter issues are becoming more important historically every year, and the best preserved pieces are quietly disappearing into long-term collections. Many collectors who own them simply refuse to sell. They hold them, protect them, wait. And when one finally surfaces in the market, the price can shock people who never looked twice at a quarter. Today, in the right preserved condition, this single 1999 Connecticut 1788 D mint state quarter has reached a staggering market value of around $175,000. That's not just change. That's hidden treasure. That's quiet wealth sitting in something people casually toss into tip jars every day. So remember this warning carefully. If you ever find one, do not spend this coin. Never clean it. Never polish it. Preserve that natural surface exactly as it is. And if the coin looks promising, professional grading is critical. A certified grade confirms authenticity and condition, and collectors rely on that before placing serious bids. Because patience is everything in this world. Sometimes the difference between a common quarter and a silent fortune is one small detail, one untouched surface, one overlooked mint mark. But here's the twist that should make you check your pockets again. The Connecticut quarter we just talked about is powerful, rare, and valuable, but the final coin on this list is even more shocking. Collectors say it hides in plain sight, looks completely ordinary, and yet, when the right example appears, it can cause real auction chaos with collectors fighting to own it. And the most dangerous part? People are still spending it every day without realizing they're throwing away a life-changing treasure. Next coin, number 3. Now listen carefully, because the last coin on this list is the one that makes collectors stop breathing for a second. Picture yourself grabbing a handful of quarters from a grocery store checkout. They're scratched, dull, maybe a little dirty. Most people don't even look at them. They toss them into their pocket, spend them at a vending machine, or drop them into a parking meter. But hidden among those coins could be a 2007 Idaho state quarter, and if it carries one specific combination of details, that ordinary coin could secretly hold a silent fortune. And if you ever see this coin, do not spend this coin. This is the 2007 Idaho state quarter with the P mint mark, and collectors say one particular version of it has become one of the most overlooked hidden treasure coins in modern American change. The year 2007 was deep inside the powerful era of the 50 state quarters program produced by the United States Mint. By this point, millions of Americans were already checking their pockets and saving coins, but something strange was happening at the same time. Circulation coins were moving faster than ever. Banks needed massive supplies. Mint presses were running constantly. When production pressure increases, subtle variations begin to appear. And that's where this Idaho quarter quietly enters the story. Look at the front of the coin, and you'll see the classic portrait of George Washington, strong and familiar, the same design Americans have trusted for generations. The lines of the portrait carry that slightly worn character you see on coins that have lived real lives in circulation. But flip the coin over, and suddenly the design tells a very different story. The reverse shows the outline of the state of Idaho, with a proud peregrine falcon soaring across the shape of the state. The design celebrates Idaho's wild landscapes and powerful wildlife, and beneath the design sits the date 1890, the year Idaho officially joined the United States. The falcon looks almost frozen in flight. Wings spread, sharp lines, a design that collectors say feels alive even on a small coin. But the real secret isn't just the design. It's the surface. Some surviving examples of this coin developed a very unusual appearance on the reverse side, what collectors call a dark antique toning, sometimes described as a black spat look across parts of the back of the coin. It isn't damage. It isn't dirt. It's a natural aging pattern that formed in specific storage or circulation environments. And when that toning appears in the right way, collectors get extremely interested, because it proves the coin has not been cleaned. That natural surface history is incredibly important in the collector world. When you hold this coin, it feels exactly like every other US quarter in your pocket. It weighs around 5.67 grams, stretches about 24.3 millimeters across, and carries a thickness close to 1.75 millimeters. The ridged edge wraps around the coin like a tiny gear. Nothing about its size gives away the treasure, which is exactly why people accidentally spend it. Most Idaho quarters circulated heavily after release. They passed through thousands of hands, bounced through machines, scraped against other coins, and slowly lost their original surfaces. That's why examples that survived in very fine condition with their natural character still visible have become incredibly rare. Now here's where collectors start looking closely. Just beside Washington's portrait on the front sits a small letter P, meaning the coin was struck at the historic Philadelphia Mint. Millions of coins were produced there, but not many survived. With the combination, collectors want strong detail, honest circulation wear, and that mysterious dark, antique surface on the reverse. And once again, a warning that every coin collector wishes the public understood. Never clean the coin. People see that darker surface and panic. They scrub it, polish it, or soak it in chemicals, trying to make the coin shiny again. But that dark toning is exactly what proves the coin is original. The moment it's cleaned, the history disappears. Collectors instantly recognize altered surfaces and the value collapses. Originality is everything in this world. When one of these properly preserved 2007 Idaho P Mint quarters appears in collector markets, the behavior is fascinating. Experienced collectors move quietly. They examine the falcon's wing detail, the texture of the state outline, the natural toning on the reverse. Then the bidding begins, sometimes slowly, sometimes aggressively. Because collectors know these coins are disappearing into private collections. Once someone secures one with the right look, they often hold on to it for years. The supply shrinks while interest grows. And that's how a coin that looks like everyday change becomes something shocking. Today, a preserved example of this rare 2007 Idaho 1890 with P Mint State quarter with the right characteristics has reached an incredible market value of around $150,000. That's serious money. That's quiet wealth hiding in plain sight. That's a life-changing opportunity most people will never notice because they spend the coin before they even look at it. So remember the rule. If you ever see this coin, do not spend this coin. Protect it. Never clean it. Keep the original surface exactly as it is and have it professionally graded so collectors can confirm its authenticity and condition. Because sometimes the difference between pocket change and a silent fortune is just one overlooked detail. And that brings us to the final thought of today's treasure hunt. 3 coins. 3 ordinary-looking quarters, together worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, hiding in pockets, jars, and cash registers across America right now. The 2017 Ellis Island quarter, the 1999 Connecticut Charter Oak quarter, and the 2007 Idaho Falcon quarter prove something shocking. Hidden treasure coins are still out there. People are still spending them. And someone watching this video could literally find one tomorrow. So before you spend another quarter, slow down. Check your pockets. Check your car. Check that jar of old coins sitting in your house, because the next silent fortune might already be in your hands, and collectors are waiting for it. Or if this video opened your eyes to the world of rare US coins and big money coins, make sure you stay with the EagleCoins channel, because the next video exposes even more dirty old coins hiding massive value. And trust me, the next hidden treasure we reveal might be even more shocking than the coins you saw today.